Hey guys, and here's another one. This stock could drop 50% in the next 60 days. Now, there is some characteristics of this stock which does not actually fit some of my criteria, but the charts are so convincing. Plus, I will reveal at the end of the video a specific catalyst that could propel the stock significantly lower. Now, the ticker symbol is FANH. FANH. Not to be confused with FANG, which is an oil company, or the all popular FANG, which is a group of the technology stocks. Okay, so what do we see? As you probably know if you follow some of my videos, 90% of my decision making is based on observing the charts, patterns, and divergences. So this is exactly what I'm going to do in this brief video. I'm going to point out a couple of things which make me believe this stock has significant downward potential. Now, please keep in mind that at the end of the video, I will reveal a specific catalyst which I believe could intensely propel the stock lower from this point. Because, however, it is a lower price stock. At the time I sent the initial alert on this, it was trading at $26. It's currently trading around $22, $23. Because it is a lower priced stock, do not expect this drop to happen over the course of the next day or 2 days. When I'm talking about a potential 50% drop, this may not materialize over a substantial amount of time. If you watch some of my previous calls, sometimes they happen almost instantly, like stocks dropping 50 bucks, 200 bucks, and so on. This is not the case. So if you are considering this, do it at your own risk, because this could take time, and this could actually really test your patience, because initially the trade could go against you depending on exactly what time specifically you are considering getting into this trade. So here's what I see here as far as the charts and patterns and divergences, right? And we're going to take a look at a couple of different time frames. FANH. What cleared to me on this chart is a case of head and shoulders, right? It definitely exhibits some characteristics of head and shoulders on the daily chart here. This being the left shoulder, this being the head, and this being the right shoulder right here. Also, it's quite obvious to me that it's forming a potential death cross situation. Anytime you see something that resembles this, there is a very high probability that at some point in the near future, typically within the 30 to 60 days, the blue line will ultimately cross the orange line, forming a pattern known as a very bearish pattern, known as a death cross. So please be very specific, be very mindful when the blue line does get to the orange line, because a lot of times it may just touch it. So a good idea would be to keep an eye on this and making sure that if the blue line in the future, when it gets close to the orange line, just basically bounces off the orange line, may not be a good idea to hold on to your position. But if the sooner this blue line crosses the orange line, the higher the probability of this trade materializing with a huge downside potential. What tends me to believe is this initial case of divergence, which I have observed, as you can see, as the stock price goes higher all the way to 38 bucks, right, at the point of the stock history, the RSI is actually not high. So typically the strength of the stock is supposed to go higher, but it's not. So here's your initial case of divergence, which later, every time the stock tries to bounce, the strength just diminishes and diminishes. You see this huge red candles all over the place. They signify some huge sell volume, and it's really showing you that every time the stock tries to bounce, it fails to do so. You have a very bearish candle formation right here, right at the top of the head and shoulders formation right here. You have multiple bearish candles pretty much all over the place, including the one that was formed yesterday. You have a very strong bearish case on the MACD, where the black line right here crosses the orange line on the way lower, and every time you see it does that, it propels the stock to go lower. And this time, it had an opportunity to actually cross the orange line on the way up, which would have been a bullish case, but in this case it just touched it and continued its downward trend. At the same time, we're observing the accumulation distribution is extremely bearish as well. Every time the stock bounces higher, we are seeing that these red bars indeed are confirmed by significant distribution from the institutional investors. Now, let's take a look and see if these signs, this bearish direction, is confirmed on a longer time frame. And this is exactly what we see. The same pattern is observed in the longer time frame. Here we got the head and shoulders. Here's the head of the pattern right here. Got the same divergence on the RSI. As the stock goes higher, the relative strength fails and goes lower. Same bearish signals on the MACD. And what makes me actually still very bearish, because a lot of you may say an argument, well, look, the stock has already dropped from 38 bucks to 23, 24 bucks. I mean, don't you think the major move is over? I think the major move, guys, is just about to begin, because the accumulation distribution here is still quite high, which tells me there's plenty more sellers that could come in and participate in this. So just a brief video about this particular stock. Again, don't expect a huge move immediately. Now, it doesn't mean that cannot happen, but be very, very patient with this one, because it could take a substantial amount of time for this to actually get slashed in half. Now, if the charts are not enough, FANH is officially a target of short sellers as of yesterday. There's a negative article that's been published in Seeking Alpha, and you can get familiar with it if you want to pause the video and check this out, okay? But basically, there's some short sellers that has investigated the company, and they're basically accusing the company of committing fraud and predicting a potential drop on this one from 79% all the way to basically the company being non-existent anymore, 100% drop from here. Now, I'm not quite as bearish as they are on the stock, but it is good to know that my readings of divergences on the chart actually coincide with an interesting catalyst that is beyond the charts as well. And so when this catalyst was observed, I was already interested in shorting the company, and so as you can see yesterday, which was August the 27th, when the stock was trading at 26 bucks, right, some alerts were sent out to some of our short-term and VIP subscribers. FANH 25 puts that expire September 21st. Current price was 26 bucks. So again, the stock has only fallen a few dollars from there. Yes, at one point yesterday it was trading at 21.9. It bounced a little bit. So today you're probably looking at it opening around 23 bucks. I still think the opportunity is there. Now, if you're reviewing this video and the stock is already trading at maybe $15, $18, the opportunity is probably gone. There could also be a possibility if you're reviewing this video and the stock could be trading back to 26 or 27. I think it will represent a good opportunity to short it. Again, just don't expect any momentarily results. This is not a typical trade that where I trade weekly options. As a matter of fact, this stock does not even trade weekly options. So again, patience is going to be your key. If you're patient, then when all the information about the company will come to life, okay, I think the charts, the cool thing about the charts is without knowing this huge catalyst of the short sellers targeting the stock, the charts were already telling us the story. The story was already in the making. So if you're trying to learn more about how to read the charts before the big moves like this in the stocks actually take place, definitely check out the links below. Take the chart scores, charts and patterns that will show you how to identify divergences to be able to identify stocks on consistent basis, to identify moves before they make a significant upside or downward moves. Okay, if you're curious, some of the other shorts we sent out yesterday in the alerts was CMG 510 puts when CMG was trading around 514. CMG did fall to a low of 493. So if it was a huge opportunity to, depending on what expiration you were buying, between 200 and 300% returns here. SEM puts, now they are September 21. SEM Beer does not have weekly puts as well, but I think this is a good opportunity, and for those of you that did this trade yesterday, should be making some money. Of course, here's another controversial one. If you've been following my videos, you know I like those controversial trades, and oftentimes I take a contrarian view opposed to what the marketplace dictates. Netflix 360 puts, and this one, the last one here, was SAFM 100 puts at $1. Send that out when it was trading at 108 with a target price of 92 within the next 30 days. Lots of bearish things about the company. After the earnings report, surprisingly, it did not go down. We were shorting the stock when it was around 100. So temporarily, the trade actually moved against us. It reached a target level about 112, and yesterday it was trading at 106. So if you examine the chart on that, it's definitely exuberating some more bearish signals that will cause that stock to drop in the near future. Okay, so this was a quick review. If you haven't taken advantage of all the alerts, definitely subscribe below. And if you have any specific questions about the charts, about trading weekly options, about trading period, feel free to schedule a 20-minute free trading options coaching session where you will be able to ask any questions that are currently on your mind. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.